Of course, a new movie came out, that being The Fantastic Four. First Steps obviously came out this weekend to some very nice reviews. Now, of course, a lot of people were talking kind of a little, shit about it because before the movie even came out, they're talking about how the movie was heavily focused on Sue Storm and her story, and then people were gonna think, oh, okay, it wasn't gonna, be about the Fantastic Four. It's just gonna be Sue Storm, First Steps, right? But besides that, of course, spoiler review, obviously, the plot revolves around the Fantastic Four. I do believe 4 years after they received their power, so they're already beloved as heroes, seen as their protectors. Overall, they're living the high life, right? Living in a giant skyscraper, having fun times. A lot of the conflict is non-existent because obviously this is 4 years into the future. They've already gone through their fair share of problems. But of course, a new problem arises, that being, of course, the Silver Surfer, the herald to Galactus, the World Eater, appears and says that Earth is marked for death. Now, of course, we later find out it's actually not marked for death, although he will eat it, but it's specifically for Franklin Richards, that being obviously the child of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, obviously because she's pregnant, and Galactus claims that Franklin has the power cosmic, which will free Galactus of his curse, that being obviously hunger. He has to constantly consume. Overall, they fight. Obviously, they end up defeating Galactus, which is obviously a different thing because people believe that the Fantastic Four were going to lose in this movie, obviously, because if you have watched the Thunderbolts, obviously spoilers, the end credit scene is the Fantastic Four ship entering the universe, obviously, assuming people were talking about this Fantastic Four. Now, of course, people are claiming that it isn't that Fantastic Four. It's the Chris Evans Fantastic Four, right? Or even the Fan Four Sticks, right? But no, they end up winning. They end up beating Galactus. But of course, spoiler alert, mid-credit scene or end-credit scene shows the reveal of Doctor Doom, who wears his mask, obviously, setting up the events of obviously Avengers Doomsday, which of course could still be true that the Fantastic Four loses. Obviously, Fantastic Four enters the main MCU universe, and obviously since Doctor Doom appears in obviously this Fantastic Four's universe, we assume that maybe they'll lose the fight and they'll be forced to either leave their universe or Doctor Doom goes to conquer another universe and they go to try to stop him. Right? They follow him. But that's enough about the plot and everything. Let's get on to the reviews. 7.5 out of 10 by IMDb. Obviously, IMDb seems to not like it. 65% by Metacritic. Whoa. What the hell's going on here? 90% by Google users like the movie. Yeah, me and Google, we agree. Rotten Tomatoes, 87% by the critics and 93% by the people. Now, of course, obviously, this is one of the best superhero films to come out this year, which is saying a lot because Superman came out not too long ago, and they claimed that was the best superhero movie of the year. And unfortunately, Fantastic Four gives it a run for its money. Both of them are filled with bright, vibrant colors, a lot of hope, I guess you could say, and obviously the Fantastic Four is based in a futuristic 1960s setting, obviously being based in the 1960s, obviously through the buildings and the clothing, but with the technologies obviously way more advanced, obviously due to the help of Reed Richards. Now, of course, how good is the dynamic of the Fantastic Four? Pretty damn good. Obviously, being 4 years after their origin story, there really is no problem. They joke around like, well, a family, how a regular family would kind of go with each other. But the main criticism that people have is that it's too perfect. There is really no conflict in the family. There is some, because obviously Galactus claims that if they were to hand over their son Franklin over, he would spare Earth. And they told the Earth, hey, this is what they said, this is their asking price, and everyone's all like, and you didn't give them the child? I mean, there's like 7 billion of us here, and you're just gonna give up one baby, maybe give it up, right? But obviously, Reed Richards, being the smarty pants, obviously runs through all the possibilities of what could save Earth, and obviously the main one being giving up Franklin, and obviously Sue Storm doesn't like that. I mean, why would he even consider the fact of giving up their child? Obviously, he's thought about it, but he's never ever thought about actually putting that plan in motion. So very different. But besides that, there is no conflict in the story. Everything's perfect. They're doing wonderful. The only conflict is obviously the Silver Surfer and Galactus. But obviously, although people believe that they were going to lose in this movie, obviously, very good chance that they were going to win. So the conflict wasn't really a conflict. It was just, you know, when it was going to get resolved, right? And everyone already knows that. But yeah, everything is perfect. Now, of course, there is some, like, kind of like inner turmoil with the Thing, obviously, throughout his iterations in the comics and live action. The Thing is always seeing himself very much differently from how other people see him. He sees himself as a monster, a person that needs to be cured, right? And he always seems like he got the short end of the stick compared to the other ones, because even though the rest of the Fantastic Four got their powers, they look really much no different than how they looked before. But of course, Ben Grimm went from looking like, well, a normal dude to a giant rock monster. And to him, it feels like a curse. And technically it is, to be honest. Because obviously, due to his rock form, he cannot age. So obviously, he is doomed to see all the people he loved die, right? But that's not really what they show. But even then, that little tiny self-doubt of who he is and how he looked like, it's not explored. It's not explored at all. But that does not mean it's a bad thing. The dynamic of the family, sometimes, even though there is no inner conflict within the team, does not make it a bad thing. You know, if it's all perfect, people like that. The fight scenes are good. Their use of their powers, obviously, very nicely done. Galactus done justice in this movie. Obviously, in the last time we seen Galactus in live action, he was just a giant cloud. Now, obviously, that was, I guess you could say, for the budget, obviously. But also it could be the fact that he is a cosmic being beyond our comprehension. So obviously, we cannot comprehend Galactus, so he just appears as a cloud. But Galactus does appear in the movie. He looks amazing. Love it. Obviously, you have other villains. Like, you have Diablo. We don't see him at all, but we do see the Mole Man. Very nice. I like the Mole Man. He's funny. Everyone's funny. Everyone likes to joke. There are... favorite scene, obviously, is when Johnny Storm confronts the Silver Surfer. Obviously, because she sacrificed herself for the good of her people. That being pretty much electing to be the herald to Galactus, sparing her planet. And obviously, Johnny Storm goes around collecting these tapes that Reed Richards has heard throughout the universe, and basically saying, look at all these people. You begged for mercy, and you got mercy. They begged, and they didn't. So how does that make you feel? And of course, she just panics and leaves, obviously. But other than that, everything is done nicely. It's such a good movie. Love the family. Although you could say that there should be conflict in the movie. I think this is just like a stepping stone movie. The Fantastic Four was kind of just there, obviously, to be a good movie. No one makes a movie to be bad. But it was kind of there just to set up Doomsday, you know? Setting up multiversal travel with Reed Richards, obviously. Because the only one who can travel the multiverse of the characters that we know of of course, America Chavez. But, you know, why would she travel universes now, right? The main bad part, is the fact that there are some emotional scenes. Obviously, the birth of Franklin Richards. Very nice, touching scene. Even if it's a slight part when Ben Grimm looks himself basically in the mirror, obviously seeing his old self before the cosmic radiations. But I feel like, because Fantastic Four is kind of, you have a lot of depth you could get into, especially with the Thing. But they didn't get to it in this movie. And it's more of just a nitpick than anything, because the movie, once again, is incredible. It's probably a must-watch, to be honest. Set designs, everything, costumes. The Thing looks pretty good. He does look more lanky than other iterations, but who cares, right? Who cares? But besides that, Fantastic Four: First Steps is an incredible movie, which obviously gives a lot of MCU people hope on the future installments of the movie, especially since the latest MCU movies have not been doing the best. Obviously, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four have shown people that they can get back to what they've done, well, before. Obviously, good movies. But besides that, what do you guys think of the movie? If you guys stuck around and you didn't watch the movie, hopefully I didn't spoil too much for you to still enjoy the movie. But besides that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.